welcome back to the channel. This week we're taking a look at the 2024 Subaru BRZ TS. This is the top trim of the BRZ for the 2024 year. It's only available in the 6-speed manual transmission, and I've got it in this nice white color. So today we're going to take a look at the exterior, the interior, and of course, POV drive. Let's get right to it. So for those of you that don't know, the TS stands for Tuned by STI. So you get some nice add-ons, which I'll go over in a second when I tell you about the horsepower and different things like that. But let's start off by looking at the front end for this car. I've left the engine running so you can kind of hear it in the background a little bit. It's a decent sounding engine, but we've got these really nice daytime running LEDs. All the vents you're seeing up here are real. They function for some type of purpose and they're really nice looking. Like I said, nice daytime running LEDs, automatic high beams, and we've also got a nice red BRZ logo. You're going to see that kind of accent all around the vehicle. We've also got a really nice front diffuser here as well. Looks very clean to me. I enjoy it. You can see we've kind of got the bracket for the front plate there, and we've also got our BRZ TS badge right there as well. I really like the look of this front end. It looks really aggressive. It looks really sporty, and you get kind of like this sporty appearance and this kind of cool two-seater sport car for, you know, not that much money. The price for this thing is around the $38,000 mark Canadian, which is really, really promising to me. So let me tell you about what's under the hood for the BRZ TS of 2024. We've got a 2.4 liter flat 4 boxer engine giving us 228 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. So there's no turbo here on the TS. I know when you see the TS badge, if you're like me, you're thinking turbo, but unfortunately for 2024, the TS does not come with a turbo. Now, like I said, the TS comes in only the 6-speed manual transmission, and we've also got rear-wheel drive. Now, the TS features specifically, so we get some nicer stuff. So I've got 18-inch wheels on here, I've got larger rotors, I've got the gold Brembo brakes, which we'll take a closer look at in a second. I've got the Hitachi suspension dampeners as well, and I've also got full eyesight on here. So that means you've got your lane keep assist, your adaptive cruise control here in the BRZ now. And that's pretty much it. And you get a little bit of, you know, kind of the red BRZ logos around the sides there, and also on the inside you'll see I've got STI badging in other areas as well. So next we quickly move to the side profile for the BRZ here. If I kind of drop my camera really low, you really get a good sense for, first of all, how low this car rides, also how wonderful of a side profile it is. Let's get a little bit closer because I want to show you these gold Brembo brakes. You can see the bigger rotors there as well, very nice. I like the red writing with the gold brake, as well as the blacked out rim here. Usually I'm not a black rim guy, but the white on black, it doesn't do it justice on camera, but in person, trust me, it looks really cool. This right here is an actual vent that is being used. It's not fake, so that's very cool. We've also got one-touch lock and unlock doors. It's a sensor, so if you are driving this thing in the winter, we'll see how that may vary. Now we've also got our gas cap. The reason why I'm pointing that out is because this thing actually takes premium fuel, which is a bit of a bummer because there's no turbocharger or anything, so I don't really know why they would make it take premium fuel, but you are gonna have to spend a little bit more. But man, this white color looks so good as we head on to the back. We've got really nice tail lights right here, really sporty, classic BRZ look. Again, we can see our BRZ TS right there, Subaru badge. We've got a little bit of a diffuser as well as kind of like a bottom light right here, and we've got two pretty good looking exhausts. Unfortunately, the sound is nothing to brag about. And last but not least, I'll show you the trunk space here. Pop the trunk open. Now, I don't think this would fit my child stroller because it's quite big. I'd probably have to take it apart, and maybe not even that would fit. So this is definitely, you know, your single individual, or maybe you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. And then there you go. You can fit your stuff in there for a weekend, but not much more. But honestly, this is a sports car, so you don't really need much more storage than that. And also looking at it from the back here, last thing, you can see we have these wide hips that really stick out. I'm such a fan of them. I really like to look at them. It's awesome. So that's gonna do it for my exterior tour of the Subaru BRZ TS. Let's hop on the interior because a bunch of go over in there. All right, so since there's technically no rear seat, you can't really count the rear back there as a rear seat. We're gonna check out the business end right away, the driver's seat. So you can see we have this really nice trim right here. It's kind of splits up the plastic and like the leather. Also, we've got blue stitching right here as well. And then you can see as well on the seats, we've got, again, this nice soft touch material with the blue stitching all up the front. The manual version of the TS, or the TS in general, is the only one you're going to be able to get the blue stitching on. Everything else is going to be in the red, which is still nice. So let's hop in. We'll talk a little bit more about it from the inside here. Easy to get in, although it is a very low ride height. but I like it very much. Frameless window, so that's a nice touch as well. And then we have, you know, kind of the same BRZ steering wheel you're kind of used to seeing for a few years. We've got our adaptive cruise control settings right here, or our cruise control settings right here, and then the kind of adaptive part right there, because this does have the eyesight technology built into here now. So now we have kind of, you know, the best technology in the top level of the Subaru BRZ, which is nice to see. I've got some volume controls and stuff like that. I can manipulate my you know, my infotainment or my gauge cluster, sorry, right up here, where you can see fuel economy, different stuff like that. If I hold my track button, I can get a different view where you can kind of see like a more racy, sporty view. Very cool, very basic though. You can see we do have the STI badge in there, and it's kind of like got like a really nice and sporty look. I do enjoy it. I find the steering wheel to be like a little thin for my hands. Like I just, for the sportiness of it, I would have just liked to see maybe something a little thicker, but it still does get the job done. Again, we got the nice blue stitching up there. Left-hand side, we've got our window controls, only two, of course, because there's only two doors here. Illumination controls, the trunk button. I like these vents here as well. They look really nice over there. And then you got some basic ones here. Airflow is perfect in here, no problem. It's a small cabin, so not a big job for the car to be able to do. Then we have our digital infotainment display. It's, you know, the new Subaru stuff. They have made it so that like it's a classic look and a classic feel while keeping things modern. And I think I like that. They're not really inventing the wheel. I've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so that's there as well, no issue. You can also have different kind of settings. There isn't a lot of drive settings to go over because it kind of is what it is. You know, there's no rev match downshifting or anything like that. It's really just convenient stuff. You know, you can turn on your steering responsive headlights, cruise control, stuff like that. You can control there in the settings. But it's very basic, very easy to understand, and I think I like it that way. Dual zone automatic climate control, which is nice to have in a vehicle like this. Again, not a lot of space to, you know, heat or cool, so it's going to happen fast, which is very nice. And then we've got our red start button with the STI badge. You can see it right there. Another STI badge here on the interior. We've also got our HVAC controls, all physical buttons, nothing controlled up here, so we like this. And then we have the star of the show, the manual transmission gear shifter. It's got the rear lockout, so I'm never worried as a beginner here, kind of, you know, putting myself into reverse while I'm trying to go into first gear. That's not happening. Short throws, really nice. I like the quality of this. I really don't have any complaints about the shift knob in general. Like the blue stitching again there. Blue stitching continues here for the manual parking brake. It is one of those things though where when I'm moving about the cabin, like I tend to bump my elbow on it a few times, like when I'm kind of filming stuff and doing this, but maybe in general use I wouldn't bump it so much, but I've bumped it more times than I'd like to admit. I might just be completely, you know, unaware of how, you know, big I am, or my spatial awareness sucks and I just bump this. But let me know if you're an owner of this car and you bump it as much as I do. And then we take a look at the passenger seat. Very nice and comfortable, like I said. Same thing, you got big bolstering here. I love this nice material. They are very, very comfortable seats, and I think that's what's helping the ride quality here. Very good. Take a look quickly here at these nice old school switches. We've got a little bit of storage there, or cup holders, whichever one you want to use it for. This is also where you're going to connect your wire should you have one. And then we take a look at the back seat, which is, you know, if you don't have arms or legs, you're probably good to fit in there, or you're an extremely small kid that does not require a car seat. I don't even know if I'll even attempt this week to put my baby back here. I just think it's too small, too cramped, so I use it as a bunch of extra storage. And I think, you know, that's fine, because I think the BRZ is marketed to a younger audience, specifically maybe a younger audience without kids, or an audience that has kids and has other vehicles, or the kids can fit in the backseat of the BRZ, which I have seen people do, but in my current situation, that's just not going to be the case. But still, I do enjoy this interior for what it is. I still like it. I think it's, you know, they haven't reinvented the wheel, and I think that's important. They've kind of updated things. They've given, you know, stuff the STI badge. Whether it deserves that or not is probably going to be up for debate until they put a turbo and an STI, and then this one will be forgotten about. But still, it's nice. I do enjoy my time in here. It does feel sporty, and you know, it kind of ties the whole sporty, affordable sporty experience all together, and I'll take that. Alrighty, back on the road now with the 2024 Subaru BRZ TS. And on the road, we can really get a gauge if it really earns its TS badge at all, or if it has any business having the STI badge right next to it here. Like I said, I'm not a seasoned manual driver, so when I don't have assist, I got to do everything by myself, so you're going to have to bear with me, but I'm going to drive it the best way that I can, and I'm also going to give you the perspective of somebody who is not a seasoned manual driver and who maybe wants to get a BRZ. If that's you, then you're gonna like this as well. One thing I can tell you that already bothers me quite a bit, it has nothing to do with the transmission, but these turn signals are not ideal because they don't come back, or they don't stay up. See, now I'm gonna turn right here and it clicks but comes back to the center. So sometimes when you're trying to change lanes, you want to turn it off, but then if you're not precise enough, you'll end up turning it off but turning the other one on, and it's just this whole mess that could be avoided just by using the simple turn stock or turn signal that the rest of the industry uses. But here we go. You don't even need track mode for this because it's kind of always in sport mode. So let's do it. A little bit of a gun here. Woo. You see? And the cool thing about this is that it's kind of it's fast, and it's fast enough to not really get you in trouble, but it still also looks really cool. It's fast enough for you to enjoy, not fast enough to get you in trouble just from ripping out a second gear, because the power band is long enough to get you going, get you up there, but we don't have a turbocharger here, which again, next to an STI badge feels weird to me. I feel like it could be aided by a turbo, and in that case, then maybe it becomes a little bit more easy to get yourself in trouble with it. But the way it is now, just with the Hitachi dampers and stuff like that, the ride quality is actually pretty great. I don't mind it at all. The handling is decent. There's almost no body roll in here, which I think is really cool. The rear wheel drive feels really good, especially in the summer. Not sure this is a car that I take out in the winter. There is quite a bit of road noise as well, which I'm sure you can hear coming through the microphone, which is okay. Driving on the highway, I don't mind it too much because the sound system kind of drowns it out a little bit, because it is a nice, it's a nice sounding sound system, and it's not a big cabin in here, so it doesn't have a lot of work to do to kind of drown out the road noise, which is decent as well. And we do have the eyesight, which means I have adaptive cruise control, the distance stuff, even if in a manual, so that's nice to see that the top version of the Subaru gets that as well. So, you can use it on your daily drives. The seats are comfortable enough. I really like the way that it holds me. There's no way to adjust the tightness of the bolsters or anything. It's really, it is what it is. And I think after about an hour to 2 hours, you're maybe kind of pushing it in the vehicle. I've done it already this week, and it's my back doesn't hurt, but my legs are okay, I could get out and stretch them now a little bit. But still, there's still room to go back. I just like to be I sit a little bit closer when I'm driving manuals just to be able to operate the clutch. Which brings me to my next point, the clutch. The clutch pedal in this thing is weird. It's not like anything else, or it's not like any other manual car that I've driven. People call the engagement point, they say that it's high, but I don't say that it's high. I say that the pedal throw or the pedal travel is actually very short. It's the shortest I've ever felt in any manual that I've driven this year, and so that just naturally makes the engagement point feel higher, but it's actually not. It's actually right there in the middle. But it's still kind of it's just nothing I've experienced before. And when I got in, I was oh, that's really weird. But now, after driving it for about a week, it does feel relatively normal. You see, starting from first there, the engagement point is super high up on the pedal, or so it feels, but it's just because the pedal didn't actually go down that far. That's the weird thing. Woo! That's an engine that really likes to be revved out all the way to redline. It has no problem doing that. Absolutely fine. You can shift up early. You can shift, really doesn't bother you once you're kind of gotten going. It will kind of lug in the lower gears, say first and second, if you're not accurate with your clutch engagement and your throttle. But usually I'm pretty good at that. Like I said, this would really benefit with a rev match downshift feature. I know the manual purists hate that and probably hate the fact that I'm even saying that, but hear me out. We want these manuals to stay around, which means we want a market for it, and we want people that are new to manual driving to come over into it and just keep adding to the cycle. And one way to encourage that is to give them a rev match downshift, because it takes a lot of the pressure up. When you have these cars that kind of help you rev match, and as long as the manufacturers include a way to turn it off for people that just don't like it at all, then I think that's fair, because I'd rather it come with it than not at all, because there's sometimes in traffic and stuff like that I just don't want to keep rev match downshifting all the time. And honestly, whenever I have a rev match downshifting, although I am getting pretty decent at doing it on my own, whenever I have a vehicle that can do it, I turn it on. For example, I'm supposed to get the Honda Civic Type R that I know for a fact has rev match downshift. I'm going to leave it on the entire time. And if this had it, I would leave it on. And I just feel it's missing. Now, the only reason I could really see somebody like that's a true BRZ fan, or that's, really, really likes BRZs, the only reason I could see them buying the TS version is if they didn't mod themselves, or they had no knowledge and were interested in spending any extra money on the car once they've bought it. They'll take the factory tune and that's it. Because I think most people who like to tune their vehicles, or like to buy a base BRZ and tune it, they don't really need or want a factory tune. They don't really want anything done to the car already from the factory. They kind of want to manage that and do it all themselves, which I completely understand. So me personally, I have no knowledge, and I'm also not a fan of really spending money after the fact, especially if you're buying a brand new BRZ out the dealership. That's already a ton of money, and then to put money into mods after the fact, I don't know if I'd be so keen on that. And honestly, the amount of horsepower and torque this thing has is plenty enough for my little town here, plenty enough for me to have fun, like I said, and not get in trouble. So I feel like I would probably just get this and be happy with it and not touch it. But I will admit that it could use a little tune. Like a turbo would really, really make this thing nuts. And I feel like, Subaru could have done something with it, just because they could have offered us like even the smallest of turbo to up that torque number just a little bit more. Would have been worth it, I think, to a lot of owners. And it probably could have also benefit from some type of exhaust tune. And then that just makes this thing crazy. And I also wish that it came with the factory wing, because if it's the top trim, throw it all at me. It's the buyer's decision whether or not they want to buy the top trim. Just throw everything at me. Give me the crazy wing. Give me crazy stuff. Make it feel special. Don't just give it a badge and then call it a day. I mean, the gold painted Brembo brakes are a very nice touch, but I don't know if it's enough for the true Subaru fans to actually go out and buy it. I mean, this is my first ever experience with a Subaru BRZ, so I'll take it. I'll take the Hitachi dampers. I'll take the slightly upgraded handling and the nice Brembo brakes. I'll take it all, because I've never had one before. But for actual real, owners and fans, people that have owned BRZs forever, I'm really curious to know what you think. Are you eager to upgrade? Would you even upgrade? Like if your Subaru died tomorrow, if your BRZ died tomorrow, you really wanted a new one and you wanted to go new, are you getting the TS, or are you just getting the standard one, even automatic? You could even get this thing in automatic if you want to. Maybe not as fun, but in traffic, I'm sure it would be a lot easier to manage. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what do my cult following BRZ people, and I know you're out there because you're all over Quebec, what do you think about the TS? Do you like it? Do you think they didn't do enough to really earn even close to an STI badge? Personally, I think with a turbo, it would have made everything worth it. Without it, it feels kind of like a marketing thing to me. I am glad that we do have some type of performance tune, but it's just not I expect more like raw speed, and I guess handling will give you lap time, but if you want to have fun on the street, that straight line speed is almost unbeaten. So I think it's just missing that. But overall, I really do enjoy and have enjoyed my time with the Subaru BRZ. The TS honestly has set the bar high for a BRZ. I can't wait to see how they continue. I hope they continue to offer a manual transmission, because it has been fun. Like I said, the lack of rev match downshifting isn't a deal breaker, but I just feel like it would help keep the manual transmission BRZ around a lot longer, because we'd get people into driving the manual BRZ, or just manuals in general, which is what we want if we want to see manuals continue here. Like I said, it's got plenty of tech. It's got plenty of anything that you would want out of like a normal car. Heated seats. We don't have heated steering, but I mean, that is what it is. It's more of a sports car, so you can't really expect a whole lot from that side, but that's fine too. I think these seats would do well in the winter if you were brave enough to drive it, which personally I would not be. So let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, because I got a whole bunch of new cars coming your way all year until the end of the year, or until they kind of go on break, and until I've exhausted every single 2024/early 2025 model that I can drive for you. I'm not going anywhere, so you're not going to want to miss a thing. With that being said, I will see you in the next week, see you in the next car. Take care.